A 68-year-old man retires after 4 decades of doing everything right. He built a portfolio worth over $2.5 million, maxed out his retirement accounts every year, paid off his house early, avoided debt, followed every piece of smart financial advice he was given. On paper, he wins. 6 months later, he's sitting at his kitchen table, staring at his bank app, feeling a knot in his chest because he spent $900 on a short trip to visit his family. Not because he can't afford it, but because spending money now feels wrong. Every purchase feels like a mistake. Every expense feels like risk. Every dollar leaving his account feels like something is going backwards. Now, across town, there's another retiree. She's 61. She retired with less than $500,000. No perfect plan, no massive cushion, no textbook retirement number. And yet, she's booking a trip overseas. She goes out with friends without hesitation. She sleeps peacefully at night. No panic, no guilt, no second-guessing every expense. So here's the question no one in the retirement industry really wants you to ask. If retirement success was only about having more money, why does the person with 5 times more wealth feel 5 times more anxious? Why does one retiree feel trapped while the other feels free? Because retirement isn't just about how much money you have. It's about how you think, how you live, and what you were never taught about this phase of life. And that's where everything starts to change. Most retirement advice is built around numbers, withdrawal rates, market returns, inflation, portfolio size, probability of success. But Buffett's real lessons go deeper than that. He's not showing you how to obsess over spreadsheets. He's showing you how money really works, how fear gets sold, why wealth and peace are not the same thing, and which habits actually shape life after work ends. Because retirement is not just a financial event, it is a psychological shift, a physical transition, and a social change all at once. Your whole working life, the game was simple. Work, earn, save, repeat. The rules were clear, the reward system made sense. You showed up, got paid, and moved forward. Then retirement changes the game completely. The paycheck stops, the structure disappears, your identity gets weaker. Saving is no longer the goal. Now you have to learn how to spend, how to live, and how to handle freedom. And that's where a lot of people struggle. They enter retirement using the rules that worked during their career. Keep optimizing, keep holding back, keep delaying life. But retirement does not reward that mindset the same way work did. That's why so many retirees look financially secure on paper and still feel lost. Here are 10 critical lessons every retiree needs to understand. Lesson 1. More money does not automatically create more peace. Most people are trained to believe retirement gets better as the number gets bigger. But after a certain point, more money does not create more calm. It often creates more fear. Because there's a difference between having enough and chasing more forever. And many retirees never make the mental shift from building money to using it well. That's why someone with a large nest egg can still panic over a small expense. Not because they're broke, because they spent 40 years teaching themselves that spending is dangerous. Retirement gets better when safety stops being just a number on a screen. Lesson 2. Your health is your real retirement wealth. Money gives you options. Health decides whether you can actually enjoy them. A lot of people spend their working years building wealth while quietly draining their energy, mobility, and strength. Then retirement arrives, and the freedom they worked for is harder to use. Travel feels exhausting. Daily life feels heavier. Recovery starts taking time that was supposed to feel free. Your body is what turns money into actual enjoyment. Without it, retirement shrinks fast. Lesson 3. A retired brain still needs work. When work ends, mental stimulation often goes with it. No deadlines, no problem solving, no constant learning. And without that challenge, people start to decline. The retirees who stay sharp usually stay curious. They read, learn, explore, ask questions, and keep stretching their mind. The ones who switch off often become more passive, more isolated, and more mentally narrow. You do not retire from growth. You retire from your job. Lesson 4.
Relationships matter more than returns. One of the biggest assets in retirement is human connection, and unlike money, it cannot be built overnight.
A lot of people spend decades prioritizing work, assuming they'll reconnect later. But later arrives, and they find distance where closeness used to be. You can have money and still feel deeply alone. And for many retirees, that loneliness hurts more than any financial problem. A strong retirement is not built on capital alone. It's built on connection. Lesson 5. Complexity becomes a burden in retirement. A complicated life feels manageable when you're busy working. In retirement, it starts to feel heavy. Too many accounts, too much stuff, too many subscriptions, too much house, too many little responsibilities that bring no joy. Then your days get filled with paperwork, passwords, repairs, storage, and maintenance. That kind of complexity creates hidden stress, and most of it adds nothing to your life. Simplifying is not losing something. It's getting your peace back. Lesson 6. If work was your identity, retirement can feel like disappearance. Many people prepare financially for retirement, but not emotionally, because work was never just income. It gave status, it gave routine, it gave meaning, it made people feel needed. So when work disappears, some retirees do not feel free, they feel invisible. That's especially hard for people whose self-worth was tied to being important, useful, or in demand. You need purpose before retirement begins, not after the silence shows up. Lesson 7. Fear is one of the biggest businesses in retirement planning. A lot of retirement advice is built on anxiety. Fear of running out of money, fear of inflation, fear of market crashes, fear of health costs, fear of one wrong move ruining everything. And when fear is the product, reassurance becomes expensive. That's why Buffett's thinking matters so much here. He teaches you to look at incentives. Ask what the system rewards. Ask who benefits when you stay nervous. Because when someone profits from your anxiety, they rarely want to remove it completely. Lesson 8. Spending money in retirement is harder than saving it. Most people think the hard part is building wealth. For many retirees, the harder part is using it. Because decades of conditioning teach you that saving is smart and spending is risky. Saving feels disciplined. Spending feels like failure. So even when retirees can easily afford something, they still feel guilty. Guilty about travel, guilty about hobbies, guilty about helping family, guilty about making life easier or more comfortable. But the money was never the finish line. It was meant to support the life you wanted. Lesson 9. Regret is one of the most expensive emotional habits in retirement. A lot of retirees spend too much time replaying old decisions. They should have saved more, should have bought earlier, should have invested differently, should have taken another path. But regret creates no return. It only drains the present. The past is not an asset you can rebalance. You cannot optimize what is already over. Take the lesson, drop the weight, stop paying emotional interest on decisions you cannot change. Lesson 10. The point of retirement is not to preserve money forever. It is to use life well. The goal is not to die with the biggest number. The goal is to live wisely, peacefully, and meaningfully while time is still yours. Money is a tool. Time is the real asset. Retirement is not a scoreboard. A good retirement is not measured only by what you kept. It's measured by how well you used your days. That's the deeper lesson in Buffett's thinking. Not just wealth accumulation, but rational living, emotional discipline, and knowing what truly matters. Because if money gave you freedom, but fear stopped you from living, then the tool was never fully used. So what should retirees actually do? First, figure out your real retirement spending, not the number you fear, the number you actually live on. Second, protect your health like it belongs in your portfolio, because it does. Third, build purpose outside of work, something that gives your day direction. Fourth, simplify your life. Reduce the clutter, the accounts, the stress, and the noise. And fifth,
Use money intentionally. Do not worship it. Use it. Because you only get one retirement. It is not a second job. It is not a fear management exercise. It is not a contest to die with the biggest account. It is the part of life where everything you built is supposed to give you freedom. So the real question is not, how much money can I keep? The real question is, can I finally use my time, health, relationships, and money the way they were meant to be used? Because the money is a tool. The life is the point.